Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Green Life Garden and Home DIY channel. It's your girl Ro, aka Mommy Green Life, and today I am going to be canning, as you can see, butter. I am going to be canning them in half pint jars, and I am going to pressure can them. Yes, pressure can. This is one of those things where you have to decide how you want to go about it. I have looked at tons of videos, and I am that person that always go with the one that works close to how I would do things. And so I loved Homestead Hearts because she actually pressure canned hers, whereas with this particular item, it does not have to be pressure canned. It doesn't even have to be water bath canned. But in order to get it to last longer, you would be better off pressure canning. And my biggest thing is putting it under pressure will give me a whole lot more security. Butter is a fat, and I am going to a high fat, and I'm going to handle it as if I was canning meat, because we know something like chicken, certain beef cuts and things like that is high in fat content, and they process at my altitude at 10 pounds, between 10 and 11 pounds of pressure, and for a pint it will go for 75 minutes. Now I'm using half pints, and I'm going to drop it down 15 minutes, and I'm going to go for an hour 60, because if you did quarts, then you would go 90, which would be 15 minutes more than the 75. So I'm going to do 16 less, because we're going to do the half pint. So I'm only going to do like 6 jars, but I'd rather have something on hand than nothing. From what I've gathered, these can last anywhere from 5 years or more. Doing pressure canning, water bath canning, I'm not really sure, you know. And then you have those, like I said, that don't do any pressure canning or water bath canning at all, and those are said to last, you know, for several months to a year. And so the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead, put my butter into this pot, and I'm going to get it melted down to a point of it actually having froth on top, making sure to stir it constantly so that it does not burn. I would not want a big batch of burnt butter, although I welcome burnt butter for certain recipes. I actually burn the butter for those recipes, but in this case, that's not what I'm trying to do. So I would advise you to keep an eye on it and constantly stir until it all melts down. So let's go ahead and get these sticks of butter over into the pot and start our melting process. Okay, so our butter is starting to melt. I've got my heat on medium-low, and I'm constantly just making sure everything is going like it should over here so it don't burn. You know, there's many videos on YouTube about just about everything that you could possibly think of. Find someone that you can trust and go with that person. It's a lot of people on there that will also answer questions, and sometimes you'll come across a channel, they won't even acknowledge that you subscribe to them or that you're there. Hey, if you can't get any help, move on, because, you know, YouTubers do get paid for what they do, and if it wasn't for your support, you know, they probably wouldn't have much of a channel. So, you know, find somebody that will interact with you. I know there are many that started out, as long as they had 2 or 3 people, you know, they probably were more apt to say something. And I do understand it's a job when you're trying to keep up with things on here. But when you have people that you see in your live chats and different things like that are supporting you, it's nothing to say hello or, you know, acknowledge that they're there. You know, it's also those that look like they do everything they can to make sure they don't shout out other people's channel for whatever reason. You know, like, oh, I'm big now, if I mention you, you may get, you know, get big or whatever. I don't know. I just see some crazy stuff be going on. But anyway, this is where we're at right now, just getting our butter all melted down, and that's gonna eventually simmer to a froth bills on top, and you can skim it off or you can leave it. This part is pretty straightforward, nothing hard about it. The biggest thing is gonna be just making sure that you can it properly so that it will actually be safe to eat and last, pretty much. So yeah. Okay, so you can see my butter is starting to froth up on top. It's getting really hot, and I'm going to go ahead and let it just kind of build a skin all the way across the top, and I'm going to skim that off, and they will be ready to put into my hot jars, which are already in the oven hot. I've got my canning pot here with water in it that's getting hot, and so everything will be ready once this is done cooking. Okay, so I've got my jars out of the oven. They're very hot right now. I've got my butter here that's really hot. I've skimped off some, and I'm going to use that probably over in some mashed potatoes. And I'm going to go ahead and start filling my jars. And remember, once you fill your jars, you can stop at this point, but this is an animal product, so I'm going to treat it as though I were doing canning an animal product, like meat. All right, so getting this all dried out because I don't want any water in there. Okay. All right, so here we go. Using one hand here. I'm making sure too to keep my liquid stirred so that it would evenly distribute the solids and the liquid. And I did like 3 pounds because I knew that each one of these jars would hold about a cup, and I'm gonna fill it up within a half of an inch. And I'll show you what that looks like. Also, don't forget to use your debubbler to go in. This will actually show you what a half of an inch is, which is right there. It's barely touching. That's where you want it. And you could go ahead and put that in there too to remove any bubbles that may be in there. We don't want any trapped air. So let me go ahead and finish getting all of these filled, and I'll show you what it's looking like. Alright, so I've got all of my jars filled. I went in and just kind of gave them a little stir to make sure there were not any bubbles or anything like that in the jar. I'm going to go ahead now and dip this into some vinegar. If you just have some clean, hot water, great too. But this is oil, and we want to make sure that these lids are going to stick. So we want to make sure we remove any oil that may have gotten on the rims of our glass. I do this with everything regardless of what I'm canning, just to make sure we get a good seal. So I'm going to go ahead and finish doing that, and once I get done, I'm going to move right over here, get a lid. These aren't that hot. I'm just in the habit of using this magnetic device because the new lids, they say you don't have to heat them out of habit. Some of us, I'm sure, still do anyway. And we're going to just place it on there, and then we're going to put our tops on, or shall I say our rings, okay? And we're going to screw them down finger tight. Okay, got all my lids on, all my rings on. I'm about to drop them down into the pot. My pot is good and hot. It's starting to blow steam. I'm going to let that go for a full 10 minutes, and then I will place my weight onto it, and I am going to let this process 60 minutes at 11 pounds for my altitude. This is going to go up to 11 pounds once I put on my weight. Okay, 10 minutes. Set your timer, make sure that's blowing, then put your weight on it, let it come up to your altitude for the pounds of pressure that you're supposed to have, and process 60 minutes, half pint jars. So my pressure has reached 11 pounds, and hopefully it'll hold there. I'll keep adjusting my heat if for some reason it doesn't. If you think that you are getting way above where you need to be, you could always release some of the pressure right here by pressing that, not with your finger, but with something, and releasing some of the pressure off of it, okay? And we're going to process at this point for 60 minutes. Okay, so we are done processing. I turned the eye off probably about 30 minutes ago, and it finally came all the way down, and I'm assuming we are all depressurized inside because I could take this off without anything spurting out. And what I'm going to do next is go ahead and get my lid off, and I am, as I always say, going to tilt the lid towards me once I take it off to make sure that I don't get a facial, okay? Alright, so let's go ahead and get that done. Alright, so I took the lid off and I'm already starting to hear them ping, which means that they are sealing. I heard like 3 go off as soon as I took the lid off. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to capture them doing it for you, but I'm going to go ahead and get everything out. See if I could grab my little grabbers here. Trying not to. There we go. And what I'm going to do is they sit and cool is kind of shake them a little bit. There we go. There was one sealing. And that way you'll be able to keep the solids and the liquid pretty much uniform inside the jar. Okay, so I've gotten my butter removed from the canning pot, and the only thing I see is that I have a little bit of sediment up top there, and I was looking to see if it was maybe due to me keeping them in the pot. This particular size jar, which is a half pint, I kept in there for 60 minutes, and reason being is because this is an animal product, and I just wanted to make sure that I processed it you know, for as long as I could in these particular jars. Now these jars don't normally stay in the canner that long, so I'm thinking I could have kind of scorched the butter just a tad, but for the most part edible, usable, shelf stable. The other thing is I did not quite skim all the froth off the top, so that could be an issue. These will work for anything that I'm going to be using butter for. Yeah, the other thing, it was something else I was going to say, and it's escaped my mind just that quick. Oh, I'm going to be shaking the jars every so often so that I can mix these solids back into the liquid. And when we get finished with the final product, it will not look separated like that. And I'll make sure that I show you a picture. Alright, so thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope that you learned something today. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Tell someone about the channel. And we will see you on the next video.
Give a fat thumbs up, guys.
One love. Okay, so here's the part where I make the clarified butter. Because I did not want to shake the solids back into the oils, because I kind of browned it a little bit more than what I would like to, I am going to go ahead and cook this down and make it into clarified butter. But now, of course, it's not going to be this brand, but this is the brand that I buy. And if you know anything about clarified butter, it can be very costly in the store. It's got a really nutty taste to it. Just a real nice quality buttery taste. And making it at home is going to save us lots of money. And the taste is great. It's very shelf stable. I keep this on the countertop. I do not put this in the refrigerator at all. And let me see if I can open it. Yeah, so Me and my daughter, we go through this eating popcorn, and it's great on vegetables, just anything that you could think of that you want a real buttery taste. Now this one, it wasn't really on the way to being burnt, but I do love burnt butter for making stuff like cookies and other desserts. But you can use every part of this. Ghee has its benefits. It's you know, something that you should definitely go and check out. But right now I'm about to go ahead, open all of my jars. I am going to put them back into the pot, and I'm going to show you how to cook it down until we get to just clarified butter that we call ghee, aka liquid gold. And I'll show you what it looks like from there. Okay, so I'm taking this out of my jars. And the thing with ghee, if you are lactose intolerant or if you have milk allergies, because we are cooking all of the milk solids out of this, it's going to leave us with a really nice oil versus the butter, I mean the milk solids that you would have in there that would have, of course, lactose and other things that you may be sensitive to when it comes to dairy. So let me go ahead and finish getting all of my jars emptied out, and we'll move on. Okay, I've got everything emptied out of my jars into my pan. I'm going to go ahead and get it all melted down. I'm washing my jars. I am going to reuse my jars. It said not to reuse your lids. Now with this, I'll explain further with as far as the lids are concerned. You could put ghee in almost any type of glass container you want. As far as the lids go, I've seen people even put it over into containers such as this. So in other words, you don't have to have a lid that is going to seal. And because it's oil and you've removed all of the milk solids out of it, you're not having to go the extra step of trying to can. You're just being very careful once you remove the oil from the separated solid, you know, that you're just getting the oil out. So I am going to go ahead and get these jars washed though, and I'm going to sterilize them and have them nice and hot to receive some nice and hot ghee. And then I'm going to put the lids on. If they seal, they seal. If not, it's not about so much sealing it. You just have to make sure that you have it in a cool, dark place, or you know, somewhere that is going to be shelf stable, wherever you store the rest of your goods for later use. Oh, I also wanted to say this is not a FDA approved method of canning as far as butter or milk products go. So whatever you do, you will be doing it at your own risk. But this has been done for years. Okay, so all of the butter has melted down, and what I'm waiting on now is for it to actually start cooking, not to a point where it's going to burn. So make sure you keep your heat on like a medium low. This can take anywhere between 30 minutes or so to an hour, but you're trying to let those milk solids go to the bottom. They're going to begin to cook, and you're going to see a foam across the top, and as that as the butter continues to cook, the milk solids, they're going to go to the bottom, and you're going to be able to see straight through. It's going to be pure, like liquid gold in color, and that's what you're looking for. And then you're going to skim, or shall I say scoop, your ghee off the top of those solids and filter it through cheesecloth or whatever you're going to use, and that's going to be your ghee. So we're going to continue with the process. I'll show you what it looks like when it actually starts cooking. Okay, so I want to show you the beginning process. It's starting to get a bubble here and a bubble there. At this point, you want to make sure that you're not scraping the bottom of the pot, because whatever settles down there, you want to just let that stay there, and that way you're not mixing it in, the solids back in with your liquid. So the only thing you would be skimming is the very top. You will not, I repeat, you will not be stirring this or scraping the bottom of this pot any longer. So The thing I love about this butter also is ghee, clarified butter. It's got a very high smoking point. So where you would put butter in a pan and have to worry about it burning, it doesn't happen because the milk is removed. So, you know, you may be trying to get your stuff together to fry your little egg in the morning and forget that you got that little, you know, pat of butter in there. Sometimes you come back and it's burnt. That's not going to happen. You could just kind of, yeah, just go on with it. I do, again, I love burnt butter in certain recipes, but yeah, not for my eggs. But clarified butter, that's something you wouldn't have to worry about. There's so many benefits to clarified butter. You could use it even on your skin if you wanted to. It just smells so rich and nutty and flavorful, and the taste is just very, very bold and flavorful as well. We eat it on popcorn, toast. We put it in different baked goods, you name it. Anything you do with butter or oil, pretty much you could use this for. So this is what we got going here. We're going to let this go ahead and continue to cook. It's going to start forming a skin on top. That's going to, okay, so we're still cooking. Another thing I wanted to mention too, ghee is very, very tasty in coffee. It will give it somewhat of a caramel type flavor, and it also turns your coffee into like that caramel color that it does when you put cream in it. So yeah, when I put it in my coffee, a lot of times I may run it through the blender right quick, or just kind of stir it in there. But if you really want that flavor to come out and you put it in there, just give it a good mix in your mixer. I think you'll like that. Alright, so we're still cooking. Okay, so everything is looking good. You can see we're starting to be able to see the bottom of the pot now. Nothing's burning. It's cooking off. Those milks and the water that is within it is evaporating as well. I'm going to be getting a cheesecloth and pouring everything over into my glass anchor cup there. Got my little setup here to start filling my jars. So we are almost ready. Now some people may go ahead and skim this off, but I'm just going to let my cheesecloth catch it. And you can see it's time for us to go ahead now and remove it. We don't want to burn anything. Okay. So everything is cooked down, and the solids, as you can see, has turned to like a brown. We're not going to burn anything. Like I said, you can see that really beautiful golden color, and these are the solids that we're going to strain out. Alright, so I've got it all filtered out into my glass here. Believe it or not, that would be delicious in some sort of recipe. Trust me when I tell you, you can put that up and eat it for later. I know some people even give it to their pets. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and get it in the jars. Alright, so my jars are very hot. I'm going to see if I can aim my camera there. I'm going to get my glass here, and I'm going to go ahead and start pouring into my jars and leaving a little space up top, about 1/4 of an inch, or I could fill it up just a little bit more since I'm not going to be water bathing these or pressure canning. It's beautiful and gold. Y'all don't have any idea how good it smells in here, on top of how good this tastes. And I'll be storing these away, and they'll last us, I don't know, because me and my daughter, we go through this pretty quick too. So, oh, my jars are hot, and I'm trying to pick one up with my hand. That's not going to happen. Okay, so just going to show you right quick what I'm going to do to the rest. I'm going to take my lid, going to put it on top there, lid, top. Before I do that, I'm still going to wipe it off with my vinegar because I'm in the habit of doing that, even though you don't really have to with this situation. And then I'll put my lid and ring on. Okay, and there we have it. We are done. We have just made us 5 jars of ghee. By me cooking everything down, it did -1. I had 6 jars of butter canned. So later on in the week, I'll probably go back and actually can up some butter and leave the milk solids in there. But I'm telling you, you cannot go wrong with ghee. Again, this is clarified. It has removed a lot of the lactose and all of that stuff that people have problems with. That's not in here. Okay, it's just the oil. So people that can't eat butter would probably be okay with this. I'm not a doctor. I'm not an allergist. So always check with your specialist and just see how your body works with these different things. So that is it. That is how you turn butter into ghee. And I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it was a bit lengthy, but whenever I seen that I did not like how the butter came out, I always say do something else. Don't ever throw it away, even if you have to just throw it over in the freezer and use it, you know, by and by. But alright, you guys, that's it. Ghee smells good, tastes delicious, good for you, and you could do so much more with it than you probably could with even the butter as far as taste and things along that line. So these could cost you in the store anywhere from 10, sometimes 15 bucks. If you find it real cheap, then I don't know, you maybe find something that's got some stuff in it you don't know about. But this is the one I had been using, and I've used others before, but somehow I just keep finding my way back to that. But here it is, my own, and I have probably just saved myself, I'm gonna say right at about 60 bucks or so with these. So enjoy. Peace, blessings, one love. These are gonna cool down, and once they do, they're gonna look kind of like the consistency of that, you know, more of a creamy looking consistency, and you can use it on anything that you would like. I am going to store them away. They're probably going to last for years on end. This is what they did back in the day to keep their butter, and that's what I'm doing. Again, this is my way, somewhat of a rebel canning technique on my behalf, but it's my way. So that's what we're gonna do here. I know that it's not approved, and I'm not telling you to do it without caution, but if it worked for those in the way back good old days, I just don't see why it can't work for us.